On this week's episode of The Science Inside, the WITS Radio Academy investigates the issues of protest. Now, we know that protests have been ongoing around the country at universities as students call for free education and certainly for an end to outsourcing. Elna, you're based at WITS University. This is surely a topic that must be really close to your heart and really close to the hearts of the whole Science Inside crew.
Definitely, it's been a few really interesting weeks, especially because we are campus media and just following everything that's been happening and standing with the students and just making sure that the right story is told. So even though we're just a science show, so to say, we really wanted to put in our 2 cents and take a look at this issue.
But you really did look at some incredible science angles. The first is tech and techniques when it comes to spreading a protest message. Tell us about that.
So I found a retired army colonel who had this stack of things to show me when I went to visit him, little stun grenades or the casings. Obviously, he's not allowed to have stun grenades privately. Rubber bullets, just kind of all of the gear that the police use in what we call crowd control. And in that story, it's really interesting just for you to understand a little bit about the technique and the strategy that comes into this from the police side. Because very often we see these things happen and they sound very shocking that police might use tear gas or stun grenades. So it's very interesting to understand what the original idea behind these techniques is and why they're being used and how they should be used and shouldn't be used.
Now, you move on from techniques to technology because, of course, I think the real stories were coming from social networks as we followed these students using various hashtags. Tell us a little bit about that.
I know I, for one, didn't take my eye off Twitter the entire time. That was the place it was happening. So we speak to some, as you say, social media experts about the power of the hashtag and the power of data being created by so many users, and what that might mean in terms of understanding these movements and perhaps even predicting them to a certain degree.
Absolutely fascinating. Now, you also take a bit of a psychological approach here and have a look at police and protest psychology. What does that mean?
We spoke to an expert called David Bruce just about sort of the process that the police undergo and when they are in these situations, because even though they're trained, they're still human, and I think there's nobody who wouldn't be a little bit tense if somebody were coming at you, throwing rocks or trying to stampede you. So it's just going a little bit into the different players and the psychology that happens in these kind of protests that unfortunately sometimes do turn violent.